1.
Lights, camera, fractions!
Okay, so systems of equations part 2. Each time I'm just sort of taking it one step further and expecting, wanting you to be exposed to different ways in which you're going to see problems that can be solved using systems of equations, right? Okay, so let's read this one. Logan spent $24.75 to buy 12 flowers for his grandma. The bouquet contained roses and daisies. The roses cost $2.50 each, and the daisies cost $1.75 each. How many of each flower did he buy? Does anybody have any ideas? Gardner.
It would be 250x plus 175x equals 2,475.
Why?
Why?
Right. Okay, so he just saw an equation in there. So I'll write it down. Say it again. 250
250x.
x. Okay, so you're making your daisies x, right? So when you do that, somehow, somewhere, you want to show me what you're doing, right? So if you're going to make daisies x, and
Don't you mean?
sorry, wait a minute.
Roses are x.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's x, and that's y, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to somewhere show me so that when you solve for x, you know what you solve for. So 250x plus what? 175y has got to equal 2475. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Right?
Wait, what? I'm so right in there.
So he said, so we know that each, so guys, I'm sorry, but I'm teaching a lecture, okay? Can you guys take it off and stop? Okay, so I lose my train of thought, you know what I mean, when I have to constantly be interacting, right? Okay, so x and y, what is x and y? What do they stand for? Jan.
The amount of each flower.
So x, yeah, let's just be sure we're clear on this. X is equal to the number of roses, right? And y is equal to the number of daisies. So that's really important to keep that in mind, what we're solving for. So this is the number of flowers, the number of roses, this is the number of daisies, right?
Wait.
And so this particular equation is telling me the value. Does that make sense? It's telling me the value. Because I know that each rose costs 250 cents. I know that. So if x were 1, it would only cost 250 cents. If x were 2, it would be 250 cents twice, right? If x were 3, it would be 250 cents 3 times, right?
Yes.
Right? So that makes sense. So the cost or the value of the rose times the number of roses plus the value of the daisies times the number of daisies has got to equal exactly what Logan spent. Does that make sense? So our first equation was a value equation. What is our second equation? Jan.
So since you have x and y as the number of roses, or as x and y are the number of flowers, and you know you need 12 flowers, I would do x plus y equals 12.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Does it make sense? X plus y. So the second equation is going to be a quantity, like the number quantity, right? The number of flowers, right? See how it says right here? He bought 12 flowers, right? And we know that x is the number of roses, right? And y is the number of daisies. Therefore, x plus y must equal 12. Yes? And this is why you won't get multiple answers. Because you have to have both of these come into, both of these true, right? So how would I solve this?
You need to get
Yes,
x
John.
or y.
Or
onto-
basic, go ahead.
You need to get x or y onto one side, so it says blank equals this and this, and then you can then substitute. Like if you made it somehow you could just substitute x for that, whatever x equals, multiplied by
There's
2.
two different
So,
ways. You
so
can
there's
just-
two different ways, right? You could use substitution. You could make it either x is equal to 12 minus y, or y is equal to 12 minus x, right? And then you could circle that and plug it into whatever and substitute. What's the other way, John?
I would multiply everything by negative 175.
All right, and that would be
Or
the other
bottom
way,
equation.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Where,
elimination.
because you already have your x's and your y's already right above each other. If you want to do that method, which way do you want me to do?
Elimination.
Elimination. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to multiply this times what again?
Negative
Negative
1.
175.
Negative 175, right? But that means I got to multiply it times everything, right? So that's going to give me negative 175x minus 175y is equal to, calculator please, 12 times 175.
12 times. I got 2,100.
That's not right. Yeah, it is.
Negative 2,100.
Okay, all right. So there's our, so that is just this. This is this equation expanded, right? So now we have to combine this equation. Plus this equation.
No, you subtract or add.
I mean, is that what I just say? Add them, right? What did I say? Divide? I don't know what I said. But anyways, add them. Combine them. So 250 minus 175. 75, right? 75x. The positive 175 minus 175y go cancel out is equal to this. What is, take 100 away, so 375.
No, it's just regular.
Okay, now I'm going to divide by 75. Divide by 75, x is equal to
And
5 maybe? 375 divided by 75.
Why? We're going.
5.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know, what do I know?
X is equal to 5.
What does that mean?
There's that sheet.
You plug
Logan-
it in and then find y.
Logan got
No, that means you
Logan
have,
got 5 roses.
He bought 5 roses.
Yeah.
So Logan
and 7,
bought
7 of the other.
5 roses,
7
right? And 7, how did I get 7? How did I get
You
7
did,
daisies?
so it's 5
just
plus
add
y equals 12, subtract y, you get x equals
12
or
minus-
I mean y equals 12, and then
All right. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's review, because we kind of went through this kind of fast.
Yeah.
And I asked a lot of questions, so you guys were leading it. So I just want to be sure that you guys understand it.
I'm like a two.
So Logan spent $24.75 to buy 12 flowers. Wait, I'm sorry, who's talking?
I'm just saying something.
Okay, just let's be quiet.
She's over here.
Let's be quiet for a second, okay? Because I really, so be quiet for this, so I can really focus. Logan spent $24.75 to buy 12 flowers. Immediately, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to have a value equation with money, and we're going to have a quantity equation. How many of each flower, right? Okay, okay, for his grandma. The bouquet contained roses and daisies. So I might have said R and D instead of X and Y, but that's fine. Whatever you want to do, just make sure it's clear what each one stands for if you use X and Y. Okay, all right. And we know that roses cost $2.50 each, and daisies cost $1.75 each. Okay, so our first equation was value. So the cost of one rose times the unknown number of roses, plus the cost of one, I don't want you to keep using the tape, right? Don't keep using more, okay? Because I don't want to waste it. The cost of one daisy times the number of daisies is equal to the total cost of money that he spent. And then now we do, the second equation is a quantity equation, which is the number of roses plus the number of daisies has to be 12, because he only bought 12 flowers, right? And then the trick is then to solve it. And if you use, since they both had the x's and y's lined up, we chose to do systems of equations. We could have easily used Bayes' method of subtracting the y from both sides and then just plugging that into x for substitution, right? Either way would have worked.
I don't understand why we multiplied it by -175.
Oh, because, remember, we're looking at the coefficients in front of the x and the coefficients in front of the y,
Oh, I get it.
right?
Okay.
And
I
we
was-
want them, if we're gonna use elimination, we had to have something be the opposite, exact.
I get it.
Right.
It's just the same word problems but with bigger numbers.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
You couldn't, the guess and check method wouldn't really work as well because there's multiple ways to get 12, but you'd have to get the exact right one.
Yeah, guess and check method would take.
Yeah,
It would
wouldn't work
take
either.
forever. Well, it would work, but it would just take forever. I mean,
It would
it'd
work.
take a
There are
long time.
multiple ways to get 12 though.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But
Yeah,
not-
because you have to multiply each way.
But not to have it add up to this.
Yeah, it's gotta
See what I
add
mean?
up to that, so.
Well,
That's
no,
the
but
difference.
he means with adding.
All right, so you guys feel like you understand this? Well enough? Fist to five. Let me just see. Fist to five, just so I
What
know.
if you factor in negative numbers?
But no, but he can't have
I know.
like negative.
Come on, guys, fist to five. I just want to see.
Three.
All right, so there will be two equations, and one of them will always be x plus y equals the number of whatever. Does it make sense? That's one of your equations always, right? Does that make sense? X plus y equals the number. And then the other one, you just have to put the cost, the value of the x in front of the x, and the value of the y in front of the y, and then equals the total amount of money spent. Okay? So that's it. I'm going to just